Democrat Wiley Nickel represents North Carolina's 13th congressional district, which stretches south of Raleigh, and he's one of nearly 80 new House members in the 118th Congress. He told C-SPAN about how he ended up in the Tar Heel State, his previous time in the North Carolina State Senate, and why his full name was shortened to Wiley.
Sure, it's George Wilmarth Nickel III. So with a mouthful like that, Wiley is a nickname from my middle name. It's what I've gone by my whole life. So everybody just knows me as Wiley Nickel.
And you were named after?
My grandfather was George W. Nickel Jr. And we've been farming for generations, so a long lineage of farmers.
Where do you come from?
Originally from California's Central Valley, and I live now, of course, in North Carolina. My mom was in TV news, one of the first female news readers back in the 70s, so we moved around a whole lot growing up as she went from media market to media market.
Is that how you got to North Carolina?
I got to North Carolina because my wife is from North Carolina, and I was traveling all over the country with President Obama. She wanted to be home with family. This was a long time ago, and we've been really glad to be in Cary, North Carolina for the last 14 years.
Explain what you did in the both Al Gore administration and as well as, or for the vice president, as well as for President Obama.
Yeah, I worked for two White Houses, for Vice President Al Gore and then President Obama during both of Gore's second term and Obama's first term, doing advance. So I would travel all over the country, plan visits, big, larger events. A wonderful way to see the country, but a lot of travel. So when you get to a certain age, it's hard to be away from your family and your kids. But excited to be back. I haven't been back in Washington since I worked for Gore in the 90s. So it's really good to be back here.
How did doing advance work prepare you for being a member of Congress?
I think it's a great way to get to know all the different areas of folks who work for a president. So having that perspective of bringing big groups together to put big events on helps you to understand what different agencies do, different parts of the White House. Served me really well. I was with Vice President Harris just the other day, traveling with her to my district, and I had a lot of people that I knew from those travels that were around her for that visit too.
When did you first run for public office, and what made you decide to do that?
I've run a number of times. I think the most recent was my North Carolina campaigns. I ran for the state senate twice and was elected 2 times, and now my first term in Congress. But my first run for North Carolina for the state senate was in response to seeing a country going in the wrong direction after the 2016 elections, and I think with my last campaign we got to send a real message about where we are as a country. So it was especially gratifying to be able to win a race where we got just over 51% of the vote. But we got to send a message about where we are by rejecting extremists on the far left and the far right. I think that was the message from the folks in North Carolina's 13th district. They want folks willing to work in the center for both parties. And I think that's what we need to see a lot more of in Congress, people working together in a bipartisan way to tackle our nation's problems.
What do you think? What do your kids think about you being a member of Congress?
Oh, they love it. My kids are really excited. I have a 7- and 10-year-old. They were with me for the first vote for Speaker. They could not sit through the next 14 votes. So they got to be here on the floor with me, and they had a great time visiting all the museums here in Washington. And they were really supportive during my campaign. My daughter was the star of our TV commercial too, so it was a family affair.
How old is she?
She's 7.
And your other?
10. 7 and 10. Boy and a girl. And one of the things when you come here, you need you are here in Washington a lot, so I'm away from my kids more than I'd like to be. But for me, I have a ton of great family support, which is just absolutely crucial when you have kids to be able to do this job and be traveling so much.